Hi, it's been so long since we had this conversation. Welcome to Real Life Conversation. And today we have a very interesting topic. We're going to talk about submission. Submission for the 21st century woman. I don't know if you're like me. Sometimes I struggle around this whole thing of submission. I cannot think of a better person to have this conversation with other than the guest I have today. And in a short while, I'll be introducing her to you. But first, I would like you to like our YouTube channel, subscribe, and please watch till the end. I'm sure you're in for a treat. So karibuni sana. It's nice to have you. Allow me at this juncture to welcome my guest, who is called Dr. Wangeci. But I'll give her the honors of giving us more detail about herself in a bit. Karibu sana, Daktari.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you so much.
I'm so excited to have you.
I am excited to be here.
Yes.
Thank you for the invite.
Karibu.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just mention I got to know her through my senior pastor, my boss, and we invited her for a couples conference, and in our church. The issue of submission was hot. We have a married couples group, and we always fight on this issue. But the way she handled it, all of us were quiet, content, and that's why we are here today.
We thank God.
Asante, I believe
that was a good time.
It was a beautiful, really beautiful time. So, Karibu, say hi, introduce yourself, and then let's get into it.
Thank you so much. My name is Dr. Wangeci Wachira. I am a counseling psychologist by training, but I'm also a pastor. Yes. So I do all that. I'm a mother of 3 adults. I'm a wife of 29 years. You can imagine how much submission I've done. And how much I have not done. That's me. Yeah, and I'm so happy to be here. Talking about submission. Yes.
Asante, you don't look your age. You don't look like you have a 29-year-old. You should give me tips on how to take care of myself, but that later.
Looks are deceiving.
But let's just start right from.
Okay.
Is submission for the 21st century supposed to be different from the other time past?
No. I think I would say an emphatic no. No, because submission, especially when we talk about submission in the circles of those who believe, Christians, believers, submission is submission. Submission spoken about in the Bible, submission that our mothers did, submission that the older women like me have had to learn and do, and what we are trying to train our younger children as they come up. Submission is the same. Actually, even if you look at the definition in the dictionary, it will be the same through the years. Okay. But I also know that there are many issues that surround it. Okay. Actually, submission is a bad word, except in the church circles and even in church. It's a bad word in terms of how people see it. Because I think women and the way submission has been given to us, it sounds like a conspiracy between God and the men to make sure they suppress us and oppress us and keep us down.
It does sometimes, especially when men keep using it.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
You're not submitting.
Yes. Now, that's where it goes wrong. Because nobody was supposed to even enforce it. No.
Interesting.
No, it's not supposed to be enforced. It's supposed to be something that women do willingly. Okay. And the men have their command, which they should also be doing willingly. So nobody need enforce what the Bible says on the other. Just do what the Bible tells you to do. And so let's think about submission. Why do we feel so bad about it? And I must also confess, I said I've been married 29 years. I think for a larger part of the 29, I struggled with it.
Oh, it's nice to know.
So I'm not talking as if I'm on the other side of it saying, I don't have any trouble with it. No, because as we grew up, that submission song was sung to us in a way that was negative. This is how we put you and keep you in check. So you feel like my opinions don't matter because I'm a woman that needs to submit under a man. Other times women will tell you, but it seems like men will always have their say.
Their way.
And they have their way because, I am submitted. In fact, some women don't feel like, why do I need a brain if my husband has one? I mean, it's his one. It's only his that should be working because the submitted brain does not work. But I think all those are coming from a point of misinformation
Okay.
and misunderstanding.
Okay.
If we understood it well, we would then get to a place where it's what I am called upon to do, especially for believers. But even an unbeliever who practices the same will get the same good result.
Okay.
So it's not clearly just cut out. But a lot of the times when we are told submit, it comes from the Bible. That's the cane that most men will use, even unbelievers.
Can we start by trying to define it? Is that a good place to start? Let me give you, I think growing up, the definition I had of submission was when you have an argument with your husband and you cannot agree, let him have his way. That was almost the sum total. Exactly, sum total. Is that it?
No. Submission, and that's why I was going to the Bible, because that's where all this debate comes from.
Okay.
The world without the Bible, nobody is telling you to submit, because up on Sasa, it's whoever carries the day carries the day. But the original word, Greek, for submission that is in the Bible is actually taken from a military term. And so what it meant then, and then it was, of course, now put in the Bible to carry the same meaning, is to be under in rank.
Okay, under in rank.
Yes, you're under someone in rank. And because it's military, of course, then think about our military even now. The generals and the brigadiers, and I'm not too sure how they are arranged, but you know. And the implication is that you must submit to the one who is above you in rank. So when you think submission, then you think being under in rank. Now, rank has to do with order.
Order, okay.
Rank has to do with authority, not value.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we are not saying because you're ranked here, you're more valuable.
Very important point.
Yes,
Okay.
So it's just about order. We have to have order. Remember, the Bible says that God is a God of order, and He's not an author of confusion. So even as He was planning the family, He still had to put order into the family.
Okay.
Otherwise, who will be saying what and who will be doing what, and whose word will carry the day? And you see, who is the one responsible over this family? And so when the man was put as head, and then the woman is put under the man and told to submit, the woman is under in rank, not in value, not in ability. But in terms of the ranking and the authority and order, then the man is above us.
Okay.
So first of all, I think every woman, all of us should stop there and exhale and say, yes, we are told to submit, not because we are less in value or ability, but because there must be order. Then the man is above us in terms of rank and in terms of the responsibilities that he'll be given and authority. You see?
Okay.
So once we remove the issues of ability and value, you'll see submission ceasing to become such a great thing. Because a lot of the time, we fight as women because we think we are being devalued.
True.
See how quickly you're going. Yes, we feel like, and that feeling is real, and it is legit, because there are many people who use the word submission to devalue. What does a woman know? What does a woman? What can a woman say? You know, but we are not. We are not inferior in terms of value and our abilities. I mean, even in this nation, there are women who are doing serious things.
Very true.
In all spheres. You will find women in every sector doing very, very serious things. So our ability is not in question.
Okay.
And our value is not in question.
Okay.
Now we are just talking order and authority.
Okay. Order.
We can reduce submission to now, it's all about order.
Okay.
And it's about authority. That has been given to the man because God in His wisdom decided that the man should be the head. But you know, even as the man is being put as the head, he has his own responsibilities. So it's not like he was just made to stand there. So if you look at it that way, Pastor, and see submission as a wife now, and I look at submission, I'm told to submit to my husband, not because I am less in value, not because I have less ability, but just because in this home, there must be order, and there must be a hierarchy.
I heard somebody once say that anything that has two heads is a monster.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's go by that one.
So if there was no order, both of us are heads.
If both of us are heads,
then we can be
these two heads, and we of course are not thinking the same way. So then how do we run this home? Let there be someone who will be head. That doesn't mean they have more ability. Actually, there is so much that will come from the woman to the man, and the man will implement it as if it came from him. That's okay, go on and get the credit, but we know where it came from. So in terms of ability, we are not being called less. In terms of value, we are not being devalued. But there must be some form of authority in a home. And God is big on order and authority. I mean, anywhere you read in the Bible, God is really, really serious about order and authority. So even in this, and we believe the family is also instituted by God, isn't it? It is. If he started the family, then he had to put order. Like you said, if this thing has two heads, it's a monster. So then it's purely for order and authority in the home that a woman is going to submit. Okay? Yes. Now, does that at least put us in a better place?
It does.
Our value is intact. Our abilities are intact. So any woman that is listening or watching this, we are not any less valued, any less able. We can do so much. And I don't want to go with the popular secular thinking, what a man can do, a woman will do better. No, just do what you can, but do it well.
We are not in competition.
No. We are not competing. Just know that whatever abilities you have, they're valued. Okay? And so because we have the ability, we are not going to kiss our brains goodbye in the name of submission. No, we won't. We will think. And any woman who now decides, okay, now that I know I still have my value intact and my abilities are not being looked down upon, they can become a huge asset in the same home.
Okay.
In terms of, I can suggest this to my husband, I can suggest this, I can chip in this way, but the man must also acknowledge this is not a rival. I didn't come here to challenge your abilities either. You run with your abilities and I run with mine, but at the end of it, we are working to build this home together. So the men have the authority given by God. We cannot contest that unless we are not believers, and we are. So the men have the authority, but we have our place. And I don't know, Pastor, why you want to talk about submission, because that's one-sided. The men have a command to love.
To love, yes.
So one is submitting, the other is loving. Do we always do what we're supposed to do? Okay? If you move from the military, you see, I was explaining that from a military sense, being under in rank. Now, if you move from military to now common non-military use, common use like you and I, then we'd say to submit is to allow somebody's power over you. Allow. Voluntary.
Okay.
This is not being forced. And this is where the woman will feel like they're under attack because the men want to enforce this. You must submit to me. And I am supposed to enforce it. No. Actually, and Pastor, I'm sure you're a reader of the Bible. Where have you ever seen God or the Bible tell the men to enforce submission?
No.
Nowhere.
No.
And in the same breath, nowhere are the women told to enforce the love from the men and like force men to love them. Because, and when I was starting to go back to the Bible, all the commands you find in the Bible concerning submission, women submit to your husband, wives submit to your husbands as the church submits to Christ. So really, our submission didn't start with the men in our lives. It started with Christ. I submit to Christ. So once I'm submitted to Christ, what happens? Christ gives an instruction. The same way you have submitted to me, you will submit to your husband because he's the head. Would I contest that?
No, because I'm submitting to him anyway.
I'm submitting to Christ and then to
the man.
as an instruction. So do you see then that there will never be any space for the man to enforce this? Just the same way, how many men remind their wives, you haven't prayed lately? Or I haven't seen you praying very well.
It has not happened to me.
Exactly. Or when was the last time you read your Bible? Because these things are personal. How I obey Christ is personal. How I obey all his instructions and commandments and everything he says is personal. So if a husband will not tell me when to pray and how long and everything, he cannot then come and enforce submission. It's as voluntary from the wife as the prayers and the Bible reading and everything that you do because of Christ.
I like that logic.
Yes.
So,
so then we will just say that let the person that is submitted to Christ then do what Christ says. Because it's Christ who is saying, this is how I want you to do. Marriage. This is how I want your home to run. Your home is going to run based on this instruction. And the men also have their own. I guess you'll deal with the men if they're keeping their own.
Oh, no, let's mention.
But also, another way of looking at submission is a willingness to be persuaded.
A willingness to be persuaded.
Yeah. So I can have my stand, but I'm also willing to be persuaded into a different position. I don't have... Do you know how people take such hard stands in marriage? It's either this and I can't move, and the other one is saying it's this way and I can't move. So how about if I said, this is my position, this is where I'm standing, but I'm willing to be persuaded.
I like that definition.
Yes, I'm willing to be persuaded to your position. I'm not willing to be forced into a position. I'm not saying I'm willing to be coerced, or threatened into a position, but I'm willing to be persuaded. So once a man notices that the wife is always willing to be persuaded, then you get to say to your wife, this is how I want this done. And this woman is willing to be persuaded. Then we don't have to fight about submission. Because from the word go, I was willing to be persuaded into your position. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So if I'm willing to be persuaded, then I'm submitting.
I'm not stuck on my stand.
Yes, I'm saying I'm not stuck. It's not my way or the highway. We can talk about this. We can talk about this and let's see. But also then, if this person that's coming to persuade me, then they better have their act together. I mean, you're not persuading me to get into a position that is taking the family down. You understand? But then this is how a submission will play out. Now, Pasi, you're telling me submission in the 20th century. This is how this will play out, submission. It will play out in terms of, do I believe in this person that I call my husband enough to let him lead? So that you persuade me into your position, I'm willing to be persuaded. But I must also believe in your abilities. I must believe that when you say, okay, let's take this route, even if it's buying a property or an investment or whatever, I must believe in your abilities. Now, I'd like to ask the women, how many of us really believe in our men? Any woman that is married?
I was actually going to ask you, and what if you don't believe in his ability? Does the submission, you're exempted from the submission?
No,
anyway,
but
you've asked me a question ahead.
Yes. How many? Do you see then? There's more to the issue of submission than just me being persuaded into a position. Because maybe the person that's trying to persuade me, I don't even believe that they have any clue what they're doing. I don't believe they can carry this through.
Yeah.
So then I will not be willing to be persuaded.
Yeah.
But do we actually believe in these men that we call husbands?
That's a big question,
Yeah.
What if you believe them in some areas You married them because you believe them in some areas. You don't believe them. You don't trust their judgment in some areas.
See? Can I give you an example? I had, maybe I should just call it a chama, ya wa mama. Interestingly, in this chama, and it wasn't even a rule, but in this chama, nobody used to talk about their husbands. Nobody. So I was telling a friend of mine that we have in this chama, and they, now the one I was telling, also have their own chama. And she said, oh, you don't know the way I enjoy. They used to do their chama on Sunday afternoon. Oh, you don't know the way I enjoy. Tumekula, and tunakunywa kachai, and then we backbite our husbands. So it just hit me, and I said, oh, in our chama, nobody ever mentions their husband. She was like, really? So what do you talk about?
Well, that is the main agenda in the chama.
So if that is not on the agenda, what do you talk about? But you can imagine, if we are going to put them in all our settings, if we put our husbands as agenda for discussion, do we say positive things?
Not really.
No. Because nobody wants to sit there and listen to you brag about how good your husband is and how hardworking and how... Those are not the things we take. And you see, then if we sit in those settings and all we do is pull these people down. All we do is talk about their weaknesses. All we do is talk about the last deal he made that went south. But he had made 3 others that had worked. We don't remember. So we must be sure that we trust in this person and the leadership that they can give.
What can a woman do to build the trust in the husband?
It's the husband that's supposed to build the trust.
The trust, okay.
It's the husband that's supposed to build the trust. But I think we should be willing to give them a chance and another one. And another one.
As we would like to be given.
Yes, exactly. Thank you for that. The same way, sometimes when we go off on a tangent about what... And the men have huge responsibilities because the wife will look up to them, the children will look up to them. Their own families of origin are also looking. I mean, if you're an African man, there is a family somewhere, a sibling, a mother, a father, parents looking up to you still. That's a lot of responsibility. If this man falters once or twice, that should not be reason enough to not respect them. Of course, there are others who will do things that should not be mentioned on camera. So the men are the ones that show the woman that I can lead. And once the man has shown you he can lead, what do? Allow yourself voluntarily to be persuaded.
To be persuaded.
Yes. And I think that now will be counted, not and I think, I know, that will then count as submission. Because you're supporting it, you're going with him. Some of these ideas will come from the woman, but the man will take them and go on with them. So after he has taken and he has run with your idea, what do? Every time he tells his male friends how he's done this, achana na huyu na si ni mimi nilimwambia. Now, do women do that?
Yes, we do that.
You see, so if you allow him to run with it, there's this West African proverb that says it's not as if the hen does not know when the day breaks. It just allows the jogo to announce it. But so even the hen knew the day is breaking, but since it's your responsibility to announce, so you can almost imagine the hen nudging the kokwe. It's time. So you piga nduru. But you see, so we must give the men space. We must give the men space so that they can be who they are supposed to be, and then we allow ourselves to be persuaded voluntarily into a position. How else does submission play out? Respect. I wish you could do, Pastor, you should do a survey of how many women really respect their husbands. And you'll be shocked. The statistics would probably not be flattering at all. Yeah. And I did something with my brothers, my own blood brothers. We were driving from home, and so as we were driving, we were just talking, we are siblings. And at one point, I asked them what, I was saying, if I asked my husband, he wouldn't answer. He would think it's a trick question, whichever way I go about this, my goose is cooked. So I asked them, but hey, guys, answer me as men. What do men want from a woman? Remember, I'm talking to my own siblings, my blood brothers. There was no hesitation, Pastor. None. And my brother, one of them, the other one was just saying yes. The one who was answering me said, number 1, respect. Number 2, respect. Number 3, respect. And the men are really huge on that. And one way for a man to know that this woman is submitted, it's not by, saying I'm submissive. It is respect. And I think even the Bible does tell us to respect. Now, again, you flip that coin and say respect is not given, it is earned. So the men must also do things that earn the respect. They must also do things that earn the respect. Otherwise, then they make it hard for respect to be offered to them. However, the Bible doesn't say respect your husband if. And those are the hard things about following Christ, because it's very clear, explicit actually. There is nothing implied. It is all clear that a husband should be respected. Actually, it's wives, respect your husbands. Now, because it's not conditional, respect him if he is providing. Respect him if he is a good man, whatever. And good is also relative. So because it's not put as a condition, you're told to respect him. Give the man the due respect. Just do it. Again,
how do you respect a man?
How do you respect a man? Support.
What do they...
Support.
Okay.
Support. Can you imagine? And if the flip was to be offered to us, every single thing you say is opposed. Every attempt you make is blocked.
Okay.
Think. Everything you say, opposed. Every attempt you'll make, let's do this investment. No, but why can't we? And because we are two independent minds, if you talk investment, I can go and ask my buddies and they'll tell me where else. You say we go south, I tell you we go north. Because north and south, both of them have investment opportunities. Then, so how do we support them? And that's how they will feel submitted to. Just give support. You want to do this? And run with it, even you. So this is what we are doing as a family. This is what he wants to do. I may not even know how to help, but just let him know. You have my support. If you know what you're doing, you have my support. And we go on. Men are very private. Because I also do a lot of counseling, I realize that men are very private. Men do not go into personal details with other men unless they're that close. I don't even know how close. Most men don't go into private matters. Now, women talk.
We do.
We talk. That's why we don't die easily. But you see, is it a show of respect when I come and give you private details about my husband? Is it a show of respect when he hears something that we discussed, let's say in the bedroom, to do with our family, and then he hears it with your mom? Is that a show of respect?
It wouldn't even be a show of respect to anybody. Even me, like a pastor, if somebody comes for counseling and then that is lack of respect.
Exactly. But how often do we talk about our men and their issues, and is that really nice? Is that really submissive? So when we are talking about how do you submit, imagine it's the day-to-day. It's not something grand that you will do one day and this guy says, yes, finally submitted. No, it's the day-to-day. It is the kind of talk that, how do we talk to this person? I listened to a couple and I was a bit shocked at the exchange. They were not insulting each other, but goodness, their exchange. One throws a word, the wife threw a word, and I wondered, hey, okay, That doesn't sound very kind. Before my mind can think whether it's kind, the husband says, oh, are you trying to insult me? And she responded with, oh, I'm not trying to, I am. I was like, okay. And I am there. I'm seated there. Okay, if you can do that when there is an outsider, what would happen if we were two of us? And you see, Pastor, women were gifted with words. How many words have I spoken? They're seated here. Women are gifted with words.
And if we had no limit, we would go the whole night.
Yes, most men are not. In fact, a lot of men don't care about just talking. So if you want to show respect, restrain even your tongue. If you want to be submissive, restrain. Only say that which you feel. That does not mean you cannot say no. It doesn't mean you cannot correct a wrong. None of that is implied. But how do you correct that wrong? Have you ever been corrected by someone, even as a person, because you've done one thing, and when the correction comes, it's global. You always, now it's a global thing. This is what you always...
I say some people character assassinate. You did something wrong. They say how now that becomes when you jinga, you don't love. What kind of person are you? I'm like, it was one thing. Why is it my character that now it's been attacked?
Exactly. So if you don't, even women, we don't like that. I mean, I made one mistake. Don't go on and on about it. If we don't, believe me, we do that a lot. And that's not a show of respect. So when we talk about the 21st century, we are not talking about anything grand. We are saying in our day-to-day, how do we talk to this person? Do you know how much would change if we just changed one thing, how we talk? Just that. And a lot of the times, any person who's done even a bit of communication skills will tell you, it's not what you're saying that matters. It's not what you're saying that hurts. It is how you say it. Unfortunately, nobody really goes to be taught how to talk to a husband. Nobody is taught how to.
There's no school of how
the,
to do.
The school is the homes we came from. Because that's where it was modeled to us. So if I grew up seeing my mom or, looking at my mom, answering my dad back and calling him several names, calling him all manner of animals, both wild and domestic, that's what I pick, and that's how people talk to their husbands. And then I get married.
Do the same.
And I do the same. And that's what has been modeled. The men, on the other hand, how did you see your father treating your mother? It is, demeaning, it is devaluing, it is always pulling her down. Men can really be downers. I mean, they can say stuff that is really, really, it devalues. So if that's what you saw your father doing, that's what men do. That's what being a man is about. So what happens? They bring the same. So when we talk submission, it has to go hand in hand with love. Because while the woman is being told over and over again, submit, I can tell you like 3 scriptures where the woman is told submit. One is First Peter 3, from 1 to 6. The other one is Colossians 3:18, Ephesians 5, from 22 to 29. All those scriptures, I quoted them because I could keep saying the Bible says
without giving them the
exact
reference.
quote. Yeah. But all those places, every single time when the woman is told to submit, it's not just a command for one person. There is a command for the man. And the men consistently are told to love. So as the women are consistently told to submit, the men are consistently told to love. And I think the idea that God had in mind when he's giving these instructions is so that we would have something cyclic. Something that you can't even tell where it started or where it ends. Yeah. It would be so cyclic because you submit, he loves, and out of that love you submit more, and out of that submission he loves more. And and we keep this cycle going of submitting and loving and submitting some more and loving some more. I think he had a perfect setting in mind. This one will submit, And as she submits, this one will love. The question of who does that, who does what first?
Is it the egg or the the chicken?
The chicken and the egg. Or is it the man who loves the woman into submission? So the man loves first and loves until the woman submits? Or is it the woman who submits until the man loves? I don't even think that should be a question. This is what I'd say. If you're a wife, do what you're instructed to do. Do what Christ says you do as a wife in a marriage. Does he say? Submit. Whether that is what will trigger the love, just do what you're supposed to do. If you're a man and you're saying, I love, but she's not submissive, do what you're supposed to do. Maybe that is what will trigger the submission. But can you imagine if me and my husband decided in our own corners, wherever he is, he's saying, okay, I'm going to love her regardless. And in my corner, I'm saying, okay, I'm going to submit, I'll respect him, I'll honor him, regardless. And we both meet. Two people determined to do the right thing. Then it would now, we would get into that cycle that we're saying, a cycle of loving, submitting, and then you love some more, and then you submit some more, and on and on and on. Because I think the version we have now of marriages, I'm not sure that's what God had in mind. Pana. I don't think what we have now is
we
what...
are off target,
with a significant margin. I don't think that is what... I don't think that's what he had in mind.
Our time is running out.
Yeah.
What you as a counselor, having helped marriages and having listened to marriages, I'm sure, and even done studies, what is the most worrying thing in marriages? What is
the
worrying
most
you?
important.
What is worrying you the most of what marriages have become?
Oh, what is worrying?
Yeah.
Oh, goodness, a lot of things.
If you had to say top one or top two.
Communication.
Okay.
Is it the lack of it or the lack of knowledge about it? The way people communicate. Because everything we do, communication is bottom line. Whether we spoke, how did I speak? It's communication. If I choose not to speak, I'm still communicating because by my silence, I'm saying something. I think for me, communication is a big deal. I think for me, people, you do premarital counseling.
Yes, we do. Yes, I do.
Yeah, maybe you should zero in on two serious things and just do that. Like communication, how do you talk to each other? How do you, give people communication skills? And then once they get into a marriage, they try and put that into context. I went through premarital counseling 29 years ago. I don't think I can even remember a thing that they ever said. Anything that I've done, including the mistakes, but just me doing things the best way I know how. And others came out of learning. You went to school, you learned something, you did a bit of psychology, so then you've learned a few things. But I don't think we are doing a good job at introducing communication at that level. Okay. And so in the family, goodness, communication is a big deal. Communication is a big deal. Okay.
Our time, believe it or not, we are really running out of time.
I can imagine.
So let's conclude that. So thank you. A lot of nuggets. And I liked the end where you were saying, the way God designed it is so that I do my part in abundance, my husband does his part, and then it becomes a beautiful, a beautiful thing. And I also like the definition. It's what to be influenced. The last one you said, it's willingness to be persuaded. To be persuaded.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's be willing to be persuaded,
yes,
right?
Let's be willing to be persuaded.
Let's see where they'll take us if we were willing to be persuaded and we followed willingly. I'm willing to bet we'd go to beautiful places with a few thorns here and there.
The thing is, will you be persuaded? I know our topic was submission for the 21st century, mostly to the women. I know men listened in because submission is a topic of interest to them. So I'm glad we touched both sides. So thank you so much, Dr. Wangeci. Don't miss next week. We are going to be talking about resolving conflicts. Yes, resolving conflict in marriage. So please leave your comments down there so that we know which other areas you would like to see in real life conversations. Just leave a comment, leave questions there. It will guide us on what kind of content you would like. Thank you so much, Dr. Until next time, this has been real life conversation. Like, share, subscribe if you have not already, and God bless you. God bless you. Asante.